Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update at the last few minutes of Tuesday, January 21st, right before midnight. The models are in. The Northeast is going to be the big winner, but snow will be covering the entire U.S. The big winner is the West Coast, where there are accumulations piling up that would bury anyone. Keep calm. It's boom time. National Weather Service warns of falling iguanas. I can't even make it up. They actually have a graphic. Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. Falling iguanas possible tonight. Iguanas are cold-blooded, and they may fall. And they're delicious. Did I say that? Sneaker wave danger at Bay Area beaches. Never turn your back to the ocean. People have been swept away in recent weeks to their demise. And it's no surprise. It's so cold in Florida that Disney World Water Park and other Orlando parks are closing. Why wouldn't they? Why would you be anyway? Heads up if you're vacationing to Florida this chilly week. Several water parks in Florida are closing due to cold temperatures in the Sunshine State, which is not so sunshiny when it's barely 50 degrees. Forecasters issue wind chill advisories for South Florida, and they've got skirts on. Dress accordingly, according to the graphic. And that means that cold temperatures are going to be pushing down tonight, right now, while I bloviate, past Tampa, into your schmampa, which may be the new nexus of the schmaxus. Right down here, we call that Miami. Another winter storm could bring snow, mixed precipitation this weekend to Pennsylvania while they skateboard in the snow. Who know? Who know? Nothing rhymes with that. Extreme cold landing people in St. Louis emergency rooms. Frostbite, cold-induced asthma, and hypothermia have all been reported at area hospitals. Tracy, you're fired. We've had several people that didn't even send this article to an editor, which have severe exposures to cold, very low temperatures, and other things. Extreme cold is landing people, and they have been reported. They have all been reported. All of them have been reported. And that's tonight's first boom. Do not be reported. Do a kickflip. Soybeans sink 13 cents Tuesday. Corn is falling too. I thought Ice Age Farmer and Adapt 2030 said these are going to spike. They must have lost big on the stock market. Thousands of acres of corn left to harvest in North Dakota. Say it ain't soda. What's happening with the prices? Apparently, it's called manipulation of the situation. Texas cattle ranchers face tough decision to cull or sell herds as the drought deepens. Now, this article coming out just 2 days ago from Austin, Texas, couldn't be further from the nexus of the schmaxus. It's in there, like swimwear. But there's very limited drought in Texas currently. The drought currently is completely minor compared to the last 40 years. Only 2 areas in red here. So there must only be like 3 or 6 ranchers that are going to have to cull their cattle. And as a whole, North America is well below its drought maximum that we've had in the last decade, as global warmers use this to push the ruse. The drought is over. Less than 10% of the country is even in severe drought. And it is snowing and pouring everywhere in case you haven't looked. Hello! Unsettled weather continues in the northwest, tracking a storm from the plains to the northeast, which is the beast of the schmeast. And there is a giant purple figure in the middle of the country. Now that purple figure means winter weather advisory. Are you weather advised? We just wintered you. Storm Gloria brings heavy snow to Spain, killing 3. This is eastern Spain. I've been climbing there. Peñón de Falach in other regions. I climbed many pitches of excellent climbing with anyway. Weather warning, red alerts activated as snow, freezing temperatures, and rain and high winds sweep across Spain's Costa Blanca. Alicante suspends outdoor activities as most of the coastal towns get obliterated. Some 10,000 homes in and around the southeastern town of Ordoja were left without electricity Monday, following power line faults, while at least 3 people were killed across the country. This is not insignificant. This is where major amounts of crops grow right now, and they're covered in snow. And this article, if I can translate it, I've been translating it every hour for the last 16 hours. Hours of powers. That's how long it took me to get this update together for you today. And if I can just translate this page, there it is. It snows in Torremolinos and Beldanamena for the first time in decades. And that might be Benidorm. The cold wave has less unusual images in these municipalities. They haven't seen snow since 1984, which means most of the people in these regions have never seen snow. Such as the Cañada de Lobo, a habitual destination for walkers, completely covered in the white. The global warming goodness that would never come to a town that has never seen snow for 4 decades. Seismic update, no quakes of note, except the frack devastation in Oklahoma, which continues just south of the Tennessee quake yesterday. It's disgusting. And Mike, who wrote that amazing expose to Vice, which I posted up on the YouTube channel, my neighbor and my partner in crime, Costa Rica has been experiencing some big boomers, including a 5.0 and a 5.2 earlier, but they felt nothing on the continent. That's good news. And we have a flyby of Tal Volcano in a helicopter that sounds to be breaking up. Hello. Here we are. Now, clearly, you can see that there are some boats and people down there on the island. That's probably not a good idea. But I do digress. Some people's idea of what's good to do is not the same as others. So, we should not judge them. You wouldn't believe it if you saw it. UPS just dropped off a package in the middle of the night. And that's my plight. Now, more amazing stuff going on near Tal Volcano. Take a look. 5 Batangas towns now under total lockdown due to the Tal eruption. I don't know if you or me would you want to be living under these conditions? Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Alaska volcano activity triggers aviation warnings after spewing ash and lava. This came 3 days after we were the first people to report on, I think, on the entire internet, other than people that get volcanic ash advisories directly. Nobody cares about this. It takes about 3 days until someone's like, oh my God, there was a major eruption. Let's tell people so we can get views. We won't tell them what it's about. We're just going to show them some awesome pictures. Worldwide volcano news update. Ancient aquatic systems older than the pyramids are not what I was just going for. But we'll get there. Here we are. Worldwide volcano news update. We have Sangay, Popo, Aso, Reventador, and more. We just came off of a huge KP0 week where 4 of the last 7 days have been basically at KP0. We would expect silicious rich magma volcanoes to be puffing and passing like Ducono, Fuego, and more. Kluchiska as well, puffing to 20,000 feet after Shishaldin is kicking off some major, well, ancient aquatic systems older than the pyramids has been revealed by the Australian bushfires. Now, these bushfires, which have been lit basically by the greenies, preventing the undergrowth from being burned to save the spotted owl or whatever such shit, actually caused the death and destruction of huge swaths of over 14 million hectares. It's amazing. But Giles will be on later tonight, or just after I'm done this video, and we're going to be doing an update on what's actually happening with the washdown on the perimeter of that continent. But an ancient aquatic system older than the pyramids has been revealed by the Australian bushfires. You're looking at it here. This is an eel capturing weir system. Eel weirs. 6,000 plus years old. How bold are you? AOC blames racism for the lack of police and riot gear at Virginia's gun rights rally. Well, I blame her stupidity for believing this. And as you probably saw 2 days ago, Monday, while the riots were going on, supposedly, I reported that this was a gun rights rally, not a white supremacy rally, and that the people there would be well behaved. I've been an organizer for decades. I've organized some of the biggest marches in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I've been given accolades from the police and feds in those regions because my marches don't contain thousands of people and no violence. Can you imagine it when you invite families and people that care about their country that there's no violence? Can you imagine that in the Constitution? Could you actually imagine people that care about where they live and that the rights that they live under come out to protest laws that are unjust? Can you imagine that? I can, and that's exactly what I imagined would happen Monday, and it did. Not a single person was injured. Tens of thousands of guns were brought to one single area in Virginia, and nobody was shot. Not even for pot. There's been a huge spike in one of the world's most potent greenhouse gases. It's all your fault. This scare happened in the 80s, and they're recycling it back now in 2020. 6 people dead, 300 infected as China confirms the Wuhan virus, which they've now named the Wuhan virus, can be spread by humans. And they did it the same day that the Wuhan virus entered the U.S. Wuhan, I hope you don't live up there. CD confirms the first case of Conora. The Wuhan virus has killed 6 in China, is now in the U.S. Public health officials have confirmed the first case of the mysterious Wuhan virus has already killed at least 6 people and sickened hundreds of others in China. Okay, well, where's the U.S. confirmation? Oh, here it is. Back in 2016, the U.S. patented the virus. Can you imagine a virus we don't know anything about that just was named, was patented 3 years before they named it? Isn't that funny? It used to be US 9889194B2, but now it's the Wuhan virus. Because they love you so much. Immune discovery may treat all cancer, but you will not have any access to it. Period. NASA's broken down all the disturbing ways 2019 smashed records, and all of them are fake news. Let's run it through. According to data from more than 20,000 weather stations, this was the second hottest year ever recorded after they adulterated the data. And they made all the hotter years in the 1930s less hot. So if you believe that, you could believe anything. And let's move on to the nonsense, because they have great graphics here. What else has happened? Oh, yeah. Greenhouse gases we've been pumping into the atmosphere since 1750, according to this article. Now it's 1750 when we started pumping them in. Do you know how cold it was in 1810, by the way? What happened to the greenhouse gases 60 years after we started pumping them in? Oh, there's no modern date on that. You started 1890. Okay, I get it. You're now totally missing out on me. And now, since we know that solar maximum peaked in 2016, we would expect temperatures rise to 2016 and continue to rise till maybe 2040 globally based on lag time. But it's our fault. But at the same time, we're going to see a quiescence in global temperature, depending on where you take it. If you take it in the lower atmosphere, the middle atmosphere, the upper atmosphere, you're going to get conflicting results because of that lag time. And in the interim, you're going to get massive snows, record colds, and other record cooling features as the Earth rapidly cools. Now, on land in 2019, the land was particularly stark, according to this article, and it's now blaming the 17 million hectares of land burning in Australia on climate change, which we know could not be further from the truth. The ruse is up. You can't lie to people that are informed. Climate change is already here. Yeah, it's been here forever. For the entirety of the Earth, climate change has occurred. And at no point has man ever had any effect on it. Ever. But yet they claim that there is still a chance to minimize the impact. And that means that you drop all of your current information portices. Anywhere that you can bring in information into your body must be stopped. You must read the sentence. There is still a chance to minimize the impact. If you pay your taxes, we will fix the climate. We promise. When have you, anyway. Scientists have discovered strange objects orbiting our galaxy's black hole. Well, because our galaxy doesn't have a black hole, and black holes are imaginary mathematics, how scientists have discovered anything orbiting a fairy tale is beyond me. How does that even work? Ozone-depleting substances cause half of the late 20th century Arctic warming, study says. Well, thank God they got the funding to lie to us, because we would never know the fake facts, ever. Thanks for paying for that. Lessons from the penguins in one of the fastest warming places on Earth, and they're talking about Antarctica, where it's barely above freezing for 7 months of the year. And then for 6 months of the year, it's well below freezing. And they're going to claim that they have some information. These people that have never been to these freezing places, and if you read the expose, they're like, oh my God, it was amazing. I could barely imagine I was even there. Oh my God. And what they've determined is that as climatic shifts occur in the Arctic, the birds move with it. Can you imagine that? That birds move where they need to feed? I've never heard of such a thing. In fact, according to these people, birds always eat in the same place all the time. And if they don't, and they're no longer there, it's your fault. And then I thought about that for a while, and I was like, are these really scientists? Is there really a scientist out there that doesn't think that if a bird that needs food will not change its migratory pattern based on where the food is, where did they get their science degree? Apparently at the School of Climatology 2020. Where when birds move away from food to get more food, it's because of you, not because of them needing more food. Which, I'm an old school scientist. I think that if birds migrated away from one region, they're probably going to another area where they can get more food. Which is based on all facts ever recorded, ever, in scientific history, ever. So I'm going to go with that one. Like, if you went to the store and there was nothing there and you wanted something, wouldn't you go to the next store to go get something you needed? Same thing. And as soon as the solar flare hits and there's no stores, there'll be nowhere for you to go. Do you get that? Probably not, just like the scientists. Which means we're all doomed because we're all that stupid. Moving on. Climate change cited as Antarctic's chinstrap penguin population drops by half. But if you read the article, they drop by half because they moved to a different region to feed, which has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the lack of food in that region. But the new influx of idiots to that region are showing something different. Arctic sea ice can't bounce back. This is another article coming from physics.no1. Because what it claims is, what it doesn't know in the article is that the Arctic is below freezing for half of the year. And how ice cannot form below freezing is beyond me. I have not seen the scientific paper that says the Arctic will stop to make ice when it's below freezing because of this reason. But it's impossible. The Arctic is in the dark for half of the year, and that's why the ice forms. So until the rotation of the planet changes, where the Arctic is not in the dark for half a year and below freezing, how they're going to prevent ice from freezing up in the Arctic is beyond me. But apparently they think that in sometime soon, in the next few decades, there will be light up in the Arctic in the winter. I don't know where these people get their degrees, but they're mostly journalists, which they get paid to say what they're told to say. But if you're that stupid and you live on planet Earth and you think that at some point the Arctic will not have ice, can you please give me your explanation on how that will happen during the 6 months when there's no sun and it's below freezing? Please, can you give me that explanation below in the description box, in the comments even? It's not going to bounce back ever. We're going to have a new type of non-freezing ice that doesn't freeze ever. World's oldest no-impact crater confirmed in Australia. I don't buy that either. Period. Here's some scientific facts that that'll blow your mind. Now, what you're looking at here is a tablet found in Arizona. And what it has written on it is something very similar to Sanskrit. But more importantly, the exact vocabulary coming out from Angkor Wat from about 1200 AD. And this was found in Arizona in a ruin dated to the 14th century. So this tablet was found in North America 700 years ago, almost 300 years before Columbus discovered America. And the people that built Angkor Wat were in Arizona prior to 1300. How does that happen? How come I wasn't told about this? And how come it wasn't until last week that I found this tablet? Because this information is being buried on purpose. There's no other reason. I've been looking for stuff like this for decades, and I just found this information. Hello. Bees absolutely love cannabis, and it could help restore their populations. And make cannabis honey, by the way, which would make people, well, it would cure you from cancer and make you feel fantastic. Another way to do that is to grow your own garlic, which you can do everywhere from the Arctic to the equator. Put it in the ground in the fall, harvest it in the beginning of summer. It's no bummer. We grew some of the biggest garlic heads ever, almost a pound. You just need loose soil with excellent nutrition, and you need to barely water it. Just keep it wet once a week and let it dry out. And by July, you will have a bumper crop. Now, all you have to do is go buy an organic bulb of garlic and break up the cloves and plant them stem down, point up, about an inch below the subsurface. For 50 cents here, you can get 23 heads. For $1, I can get 50 and have 50 heads of garlic in July for $1. Simply multiplying my money by 25. And then once you have a head of garlic, you can just put it in the dark for 3 months and then plant it in the fall. See how that works? And you have garlic forever, in perpetuity, sustainably, for the rest of your life, for free. Landrace for your region. Delicious. Good for your immune system, and even better for making shitty food taste great. The role of geomagnetic field intensity in late quaternary evolution of humans and large mammals. I've shared this paper 100 times, and I'm going to share it the 101st time. Geomagnetic reversal is ongoing, and it results in mass extinction. Now, supercomputers scour the fossil record for Earth's hidden extinctions, and they've concluded even worse things. What they've concluded has gotten scientists' panties in a bunch. Small-scale extinctions, not dissimilar to those occurring today, could turn out to be a bad 100,000 years or a bad week for some groups. And this is a breakthrough in science. Now, I knew this 40 years ago because we saw it in the rock record. I'm a stratigrapher, field scientist. I've looked at sedimentary rocks from the Paleozoic through the Cenozoic to modern throughout all basins in the United States, some in South America, and some up in Canada, and even in Europe. And they all show the same thing. A Milankovitch-based hierarchical cyclicity of extinction. And the biggest event is the 100,000-year cycle. There's a bigger event at the 400,000-year flexure. There's a 1.2 million-year cycle as well. But the 26 kiloyear cycle is more nuanced. It's more of a localized geomorphic effect, which is why in my update the other night, I said that the big event is over. That was the Younger Dryas. The subsequent events that we will experience the next 100,000 years are minor. So Doug Vogt, his whole hypothesis is out in my eyes. That already happened. That happens every 100,000 years in his calculations. While they may be correct and there may be an event in October of 2046, it's not going to be the Younger Dryas event. It will not result in oceans washing across the continents and what have you. There's no geologic evidence for that. And I think that my mission in the next week is to provide you with the evidence to support this. So I'm going to be doing a series of geologic talks on why the alarmists and the micronova is bullshit. And it might have happened, and it did happen back in the Younger Dryas. But if it happens in 2046, it's going to be a much more minor event, much lesser effect than the 100,000-year cycle. And I'm going to show you using stratigraphy, the rock record, not conjecture and not peer-reviewed papers, the actual facts based on what's deposited on Earth. Wouldn't that be fascinating, actually using science to prove science? It will be fascinating, but it won't matter because over 95% of the population does not care. They're sheep, and they're going to stand in the wrong line, period. This is what affordable healthcare looks like. And it's free if you're in a legal state. Hope you got something out of the video. Share these videos. Thank you to all our one-time donors, all our Patreon supporters, and everyone that sticks with us. I don't think you have any idea how much work this is. I'm pretty sure you don't. But it doesn't matter because this is my life mission. No one pays me to do this but you, which is why we need more Patreon supporters. I need to get paid. No, I really don't. But we thank all of you that donate your $1 a month. If you all do that, and you may all need to do that once we get demonetized, because I will not put these videos up on YouTube if they are not monetized. Period. Because we won't be in the algorithm. There will be no views. And everyone will have to go over to Patreon anyway and pay $1 a month. That's like 3 cents a day to watch a video. Whenever you ever paid that little to get this much information. All the links are below. Period. Be safe. We love you.